What's up, guys?
Hi, welcome back.
We're back with another episode of Airbnb Cash Flow. So today I'm going to be interviewing Isis over some frequently asked questions that we saw in the comments earlier. And question one, scene. How do I find, I'm reading my iPad. How do I find an Airbnb in Houston, Isis?
Great question. So, how do you find an Airbnb? Quickest answer is to go on Zillow. Select, there should be an option for you to do corporate leases. For beginners, you're just starting out, only do apartments, okay? And make sure the rents are from $895 to about, I would say for your first time, to be fair, just $1,500.
Yeah.
Something that you kind of feel comfortable. If stuff hit the fan and you had to pay the rent, you wouldn't be crippled by that rent. So be as cheap as possible because this is your first time. Naturally, you're going to make mistakes. Of course, buy courses to mitigate those risks and mistakes, but you're kind of going to go off your gut and kind of how you feel. But it's super important for you to leverage sites like AirDNA to do forecasting on how much revenue you'll be making per apartment. So again, go on Zillow. There's a lot of Facebook groups for each city.
Yes, definitely go to Facebook group. There's a popular one called Facebook Group Houston, Airbnb Houston.
Yeah.
And inside of these groups, I add on to your comment, ISS.
Yeah.
Is that you can actually... there are people going to be selling Airbnb lists. Sometimes it's for $100, sometimes it's for $200. That's probably a good idea. We should do is buy one of those lists and go through and call and see who's available. But Facebook groups in the specific zip code, we're talking Houston, baby, and to find. So Zillow, Facebook groups, and as well as last but not least, real estate agent.
Real estate agent, but let me talk to my entrepreneurs real quick, okay? My entrepreneurs is making a little bit of change, but you ain't making a lot of money. So that tells me you got a lot of time. Get in that car, baby, and it's time to start driving around the city, looking for places to Airbnb. These are the things I wish I would have known up front. Initially, I started like everyone else. I'm sure all of you are calling everybody, all of like the premier luxe apartment buildings, hoping, they'll give you an opportunity to Airbnb their spot. No, absolutely not. They're not going to give you that chance. Look up my spot? No, because they don't know how Airbnbers are going to go. They've heard so many horror stories and you can't convince them. They just have it stuck in their head that it's just going to be a bunch of turmoil, a bunch of broken things that they're going to have to foot the bill for, and they just don't want the headache. However, there are these other types of apartments which we would classify as apartment houses that are less than like 12 units, right? And they're also competing with these huge high-rise or luxe apartment buildings, right? And so naturally, we all want to stay in a nicer place. So what happened to these apartment houses? Airbnbers. That's where I found the most success. And it's actually a lot cheaper because you don't have as many of like the mainstream amenities. Now, granted, you are competing with Airbnb, with people who have those high-rise and luxe apartments. However, we have found that a lot of that is going on illegally. Once the leasing agent or property owner realizes their unit is on Airbnb, they can evict you. I don't know what other businesses or what other things you're trying to do, but that will fuck up your credit score. You don't want that. Don't do it.
Are they make you take it off of Airbnb and you still have to cover the lease? But Isis, so what areas did you find your Airbnb in, if you don't mind the audience?
Yeah.
Knowing? What zip codes? What zip codes? What I think there's
zip codes. Yeah.
Neighborhoods.
Yes, I'm speaking specifically just for Houston. My favorite zip code has to be the downtown area of Montrose, and zip codes range from 77009 or 4,
yeah.
Or 77002 or 77020. I have to get those. I'll put those zip codes out in the bio when we close out. But specifically, I like the downtown area. I like Montrose. I like 3rd Ward. I like the Galleria area. I like the medical district.
Tell them, what was your first Airbnb? How did you find and get your first Airbnb in Houston, Texas?
Shout out to Andrew Huey. He was actually our first Airbnb-er, and it's really crazy because we went to, shout out to Prairie View A&M University, because they produce productive people, okay? Any of those people going to HBCUs, shout out to you guys. But he actually bought a duplex, and he was looking to rent in 5th Ward, looking to rent out, to regular renters. We approached him, or Keelan approached him with the idea of having us, rent it out. And because we already have that prior relationship, we literally used to study together. He trusted us, and we've had nothing but success ever since. So definitely your friends who are into real estate, who have units or houses available that has a vacancy, definitely leverage them initially. I want to also tell you, be wary of like houses too as a beginner. Definitely stay into apartments. But getting back to location, it also kind of comes down to who is your target audience, right? One thing that we found has been really consistent is targeting traveling nurses and doctors, especially in the Houston area. We are the medical mecca of like the US, okay? Everybody's constantly coming in for surgeries, or they have different medical assignments or people are traveling in for. It's a great market to get into. I think it is starting to become a little bit saturated, so be wary of that. But if that's what you want to gear to, make sure your decor and your location is, prime for it, which hence the medical district for having an Airbnb.
The reason why I think that's a huge opportunity, and we're about to come to close here, for the medical center and just medical first Airbnbs is because, one, in Houston, there are multiple medical centers. So you have the Texas Medical Center, which is in Houston, Texas, downtown. About actually 3 or 4 minutes from downtown, which is one of the largest medical centers in the United States of America. But then you also have medical centers in the outskirts of Houston, such as the Woodlands has a medical center, which is a little bit more north side. In Sugarland has a medical center. In Pearland, Texas has a medical center. And
the Woodlands, I think.
I said the Woodlands. Okay. And Spring. And so what we're starting to find out is that if you can also align yourself with high volume customers, such as travel nurses or people coming in for medical precautions, medical surgeries, medical visits, that's also very lucrative and easy to take care of customer because they not damaging all your stuff, okay? Yeah. But in short, today we talked a little about where do I find Airbnbs in Houston, Texas. Isis mentioned some top areas and zip codes that you can get into.
Yeah, look for apartment houses. There are plenty of apartment houses in the Galleria area.
And what's an apartment house again?
Apartment house is an apartment that's less than 12 units. So it's not your traditional apartment that you're accustomed to seeing, but something a little bit smaller. And what we would classify as a little bit more charming. Yeah,
small, 2 to 12. We actually have about
4 units.
4 units in an apartment house, and it works out very well. And most of the time, they're owned by small mom and pop people.
Yeah.
And so there you have it, guys. In the listings below, we'll probably include some of our listings we have.
Yeah.
Also, we have, if you guys need help, we have an affiliate fee for Airbnb, so we'll love to help you set up. Looking to help set up 2 people this month. Last month, I think I helped set up 1 person.
Yeah.
Hopefully I can get them on the YouTube show and interview them. And yeah, let's keep on trekking forward.
Till next time, guys.